What's up, guys? Felix Force here. Welcome back to another predictions video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing my round 11 predictions. Last week, Magic Round predictions, I got 5 out of 8. It's not bad, but I reckon I'm going to try to do a bit better this week. Melbourne Storm and the Brisbane Broncos. The Storm, I feel like they are finally starting to find their form. They took a bit of a surprising loss to the Rabbitohs, but I reckon Nick Meaney, Cameron Munster, Harry Grant, I reckon they're really starting to show their improvement. Nick Meaney especially. I reckon Melbourne win, and they usually do play very well against the Broncos and at Amy Park. The Bulldogs and the New Zealand Warriors. I think the Bulldogs can pull off a bit of an upset here. Even though they've lost 4 out of the last 5, I just have a feeling they're going to get over the line against a Warriors team that has looked very good this year. The Panthers and the Sydney Roosters, and as long as this game is dry, as long as it's not wet, and in a good nighttime game in front of their home fans, I reckon Penrith Panthers will win, and they'll win good as long as it stays dry. The Rabbitohs and the West Tigers, and even though the Tigers have won 2 in a row, I reckon South Sydney will just slaughter them here. They have a lot of confidence, especially after beating Melbourne for the first time away from home last week. I reckon South Sydney will win very, very good against the West Tigers. The Cowboys and the Dragons, and the Cowboys, they picked up a very surprising win against the Sydney Roosters last week. They absolutely dominated them, and I reckon this game will be very similar to a very lackluster Dragons side that have just looked very uninterested in playing lately. The Canberra Raiders and the Parramatta Eels, and I feel like this is another game where it will just be where the weather will play a big part in it. It is going to be freezing in Canberra. Parramatta, I know that they don't like the cold. They usually play worse in the cold, and the Canberra Raiders, they're used to the cold. It's their home ground. They usually play pretty well against the Parramatta Eels. They can sometimes pull off an upset against them, and I reckon that's what will happen here. The Knights and the Gold Coast Titans, and the Knights, they're fresh off the bye. They had the bye last week at Magic Round. I reckon usually when teams are fresh off the bye, they pick up a win, and I reckon this is exactly what's going to happen here. Manly Seagulls and the Cronulla Sharks, and the Sharks, after having a shocking game last week, I reckon they're just going to have to regroup, pick up a good win over the Manly Seagulls, who have looked very bad lately. But if Manly can pick up a win here, it will really help out with their confidence. But I just don't see it happening. And if Nico Hines can play a lot better than he did last week, I reckon the Sharks win every day of the week. That'll be it for this week's video. For tips, make sure you guys like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in tomorrow's Supercoach video.